I doing here?
Have a lot of amazing fans out here, and they just want to hear you talk.
I wish my wife felt that way.
So we can talk about whatever you've got coming up, or we can go straight to get some questions from the audience.
Well, if there are any questions from the audience, I'll be happy to mangle some answer for you. I don't hear as well as I used to, so what will happen is Jared will listen to the question, he'll repeat it to me. Hopefully, he'll shorten it a little bit. If it's a long question, don't feel you have to give every word, and these poor people have to listen to it twice. Because this will do. Or else you're out.
Yes, sir. We're going to start over here on the right. And keep in mind, folks, I can't see you because of these bright lights. So just when I point over here, you start.
Stan, last year I came and with my family, and you said go see Iron Man 3 to see your cameo. You were right. It freaking rocked.
I heard the word Iron Man.
She said that you were here last year. She remembered you talking about your amazing cameo in the Iron Man 3, which hadn't come out yet. And you said it was your best one yet, and she said, you're absolutely right, it rocked.
You know, believe it or not, I've done so many. What was the one?
Beauty contestant. Ladies walking out in bikinis. You're a beauty contestant judge.
The beauty contest judge.
Oh, yeah! The one that you saw, the cameo that you saw in Iron Man 3, did I just kind of hold up a number 10 or something?
With a big goofy grin.
Now, there was more than that. And they cut it because the movie ran too long. But I'm going to tell you what it was. And I said to the other people, I said, you should have cut Robert Downey. After I hold up the number 10, the blonde girl, who was not very bright, made some little idiotic speech. But I was so taken with her that I go, words to live by. And then I collapsed. It was very funny, and they should have kept it in. And remind me to talk to people.
I will. Your people talk to their
That's
people.
right. Robert Downey better watch out. Incidentally, he is one great guy. He is terrific to work with, talented as hell, and almost as good an actor as I am.
Yes, sir.
Sam, is there any truth to the rumor that you'll be playing Ultron in Avengers 2?
That what?
That he'll be playing Ultron in Avengers 2.
No. I'll probably be playing a guy who sees Ultron and I go,
Stan, what do you think the most immersive story you created is? What do you think is the most immersive story you created?
what the hell is that? When you immerse yourself in something, you kind of cover yourself in the whole thing. But what do you exactly mean?
What do you think the most compelling story or character that you created is? Most compelling story or character?
Yeah, I never really thought about it. I'm such a big fan of me. Whenever I read anything I've written, I say to myself, wow, did I write that? This is good. So I don't really have any favorites. I think they're all minor masterpieces.
Yes.
I wasn't being evasive. I really don't have any favorites.
Mr. Lee, last year I asked you if you would go with this crowd for ice cream afterwards, like you did in the Big Bang Theory, but the diffuser told you I asked you out, which I had not done. So this year I'm asking, will you go with me to the after party Saturday?
promises to have ice cream.
Well, we can discuss that after this little meeting. And we'll see what, and these people, they're all loud mouths, now they'll talk. We'll do it in private.
Is there any plans for a Stan Lee movie where you're the star?
Is there any plans for a Stan Lee movie where you're the star?
Only if I finance it myself. No, I'm afraid not. I say I'm afraid not because I know it'll make you all heartbroken, but I think that the world has enough pleasure now. It's time for people to get serious. And, you know, if I were in a movie, suddenly everybody would, well, you know what I mean.
They'd stop working and the whole country would shut
And
down.
they won't be writing about it, and the damn clubs that would spring up. No, it's not right.
You could cripple our whole economy. People quit working just to go see the movie.
The funny thing is, these cameos I do, it's usually one line that I say, or a half a line. And it's not hard to remember one half of a line. So I've gotten the reputation of one take Lee. He doesn't want to say right.
Now, I gotta say something to that because it's not always just one line. I've seen him have to do commercials and stuff where he had to look one way, say a line, look the other way, say a line, and he does always get it in one take.
Years ago, there was a company called the Persona Razor Blade Company, and they asked me to do a commercial, a television commercial for them. I never used Persona Razor Blades, but I can be watched. I said, sure. And I said something like on camera, hi, I'm Stan Lee, I write comics, and I have to look my best. I do a lot of interviews, so I use Persona Blades. And I don't waste any time. One swipe and the blade is gone, something like that. And they loved it, and they photographed it, and they were going to put it on television and run it as a series. And one of the people of the agency said, you know, that was so good, we could start a new character called Persona Man, and he'll be our trademark, and you can do all the ads. And I think I got a whole new career. And what happened? Why haven't you seen it? 1 week later, the company went out of business. And my luck. So that's why I'm reduced to doing cameos when I could have been the star of the campaign. Persona Blades.
Which side are we on? This side?
Hi, Sam. I just wanted to say on behalf of myself and of my children, I wanted to thank you for helping us expand our imaginations. And I just simply wanted to know that you could tell us one of your favorite memories from your childhood.
He wants to thank you on behalf of him and his family for helping them expand their imaginations.
And tell me one of his favorite memories from his childhood.
A favorite memory from your childhood.
I think my two-wheeled bicycle, when I was about, 8 or 9 years old. My parents had been saving all year because we didn't have much money. And they got enough money to buy me a two-wheeler. And when I got that bike, and we never had a car in the family, when I got that bike, and I was 10 or 12 years old, it meant I could go places, I could pedal to another neighborhood. We lived in the Bronx. I could even go across the Washington Bridge into Manhattan. And I think that when I saw that bike, there, and they said it's for me. That was the biggest thrill I had. Next to being here right now, of course.
I read the Marvel comics. I watch the movies. I do all that. But I want to know how I can be an even better fan.
Movies, cartoons, reads all the comics, but how can he be a better Marvel fan?
Whatever magazines you buy twice as many. No, it really doesn't sound as if you could be a better fan. And I now officially dub you Marvel's #1 fan.
of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Will you do a cameo in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Oh boy, I hope so. But again, it depends where they're shooting it. If they shoot it at the North Pole or something, the chances are I won't. Now they're shooting in X-Men, I think in Montreal, and I'm supposed to be in Toronto in a couple of weeks, and I may be able to hop from there to Montreal and do that. But if it doesn't synchronize, that would be another movie that I don't do. I don't know, they really should photograph all of them in Los Angeles, because they don't have those cameos. Oh, I don't know if I told you this. The reason that the movies make so much money and do so well is my cameos. Here's why. The cameos, as you know, are very brief, couple of seconds. If you blink your eye, you miss them. Okay, what happens? Somebody goes to the movie, blinks his eye, misses my cameo, the movie ends. And he says, wait a minute, I didn't see Stan's cameo. So what's the logical thing to do? You go back to the box office, you buy another ticket, and you see it again. If not for my cameos, they could only do 50% of the business.
Hi Sam, I'm Jonathan from Park Forest. I was actually wondering, of all the cameos that you've done, who was the most fun director that you've worked with?
Who is the most what actor?
Fun director.
Oh, fun director. None of them are really fun.
Not even Kevin Smith?
No, they're very businesslike and they're very good. Every director I've worked with has been good. I like the way I say that. Every director I've worked with. 1 minute cameo. I really can't answer that. In fact, after a while I forget their names. I mean, if you ask me the name of any director, I wouldn't remember. They all homogenized in my brain. But they're all great. I mean, and they're tolerant of me. I mean, I walk in, I'm a real amateur, and they treat me so nice. I get a little, what they call it, a little wagon. I give it a trailer for my, the stars have trailers. It's a big thing that hitches on the back of a car, it's the size of a truck, and it has a little bathroom and a bedroom and everything. Who's the guy? I forgot his name. There's one actor, I went to visit him once, and in his trailer he had a butler who was serving him lunch while he was sitting there. John Travolta. It's not bad being a Hollywood star when you're on the set, let me tell you. They treat you pretty good. I probably didn't answer the question, but I forgot what the question was.
I'm Nicara from Manson, and I wanted to know if, out of all the wonderful female characters you've created, are any of them based on real women that you know, such as maybe your wife?
The female characters you created or helped create, are any of them based on real people?
No, not really. I never base any stories on real people. I just try to make up characters. Maybe the stories would be better if I had based on real people, but no, not really. I know it's an unsatisfying answer. You'd love me to say my wife or my daughter or something. No fictional character I create could ever be as wonderful as them. Used to be an actress. I'll tell you a funny thing. You may not think it's funny. I thought it was funny. She was quite a successful model and actress and a singer also when I married her a million years ago. It was 65 years ago. We're getting used to each other now, but in those days, guys, at least I tried to be very macho, So we get married and I say to her, no wife of mine is going to work. I think I'll be the guy, I'm the man of the family. And she said, okay. And it was the dumbest thing I ever said in my life. Oh well. She could have been supporting me.
doesn't always recognize or appreciate how many people love him. And I think we need to show her some proof. So I'm going to get back behind Stan, and I'm going to take a photo across Stan of this swath of people.
You can't see anybody. Can't wait like empty space. Oh, wait a minute.
All right, now which side was I on? Over here? All right, go for it.
I listened to an interview on the way here today, and there was a comedian who's writing currently on Deadpool, his first comic book he's writing now, and he's talking about how he had no clue how comic book writers can do it as a primary employment financially. Like, what's your opinion on that state of the industry?
Well, I get it.
Yeah, you're going to have to succinct that a little bit.
Okay.
Paraphrase into a question.
How do you think writers can survive when they can't make much money off of it?
How do you think writers can survive when they're not making that much money to write the stories nowadays?
They can't. No, I don't know how to answer that. I think there are two questions that I don't know how to answer. One of them is, how do you get into the comic book business as a writer or an artist? And I honestly don't know the answer. And when you say, how does a writer survive who can't write or who doesn't sell what he writes? He better get some other job real fast. I don't know. If you do something and you can't make a living at it, you're not going to survive unless you get something else to do. It seems pretty obvious.
All right, yes.
Of all our characters that you created, which one took the longest and was the hardest to create a story for them? And like how
Out of all the characters you created, which one was the hardest and took the longest to create a story or the persona around?
I think maybe the Hulk, because it was kind of tough to write about a green-skinned monster and have it make any sort of sense at all, and find a way that maybe people would care about him. And of course now people just adore him. But it was tough. Originally, I wanted to make, I was thinking of Frankenstein. I wanted to make him like the monster in Frankenstein, because I always thought the monster was the good guy. Everybody was trying to hunt him down and kill him, and he wasn't really hurting anybody. And I thought it'd be nice to get a tragic monster like that. But then it occurred to me that it would get kind of dull having to start just following a monster around all the time. And I thought of Jekyll and Hyde, and I figured, what if he turned into a real man, a normal man? And the normal man hated the fact that he turned into the Hulk, and the Hulk hated having to be a weak, normal man again. And it began to spin around in my mind. I kept thinking of it, but that was probably the toughest one, because all the others were kind of easy. I mean, you get a guy who can stick to walls and shoot webs. That's easy. Call him Spider-Man and you get going with it.
That was actually a really good question.
Hey, are we on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Is that or something? Why can't I see? Why don't I have a screen here? I'm missing all of this. Do we look all right?
I love working with this man.
Sometimes if something like that, they have a little monitor in front and you can see yourself. All I see is some dim shapes up there of silhouettes. All right, I'm sorry, I'm holding things up.
All right, yes.
You're a writer, your brother Larry Lieber is an artist. Where did you both get that like talent? Like,
I mean, you got a great family. Where'd that come from? You and your brother Larry are both very talented. Where did your family come up with this talent pool?
I don't know. My mother was just a typical housewife, and my father, the poor guy, was unemployed. He had been a dress cutter, and why he was a dress cutter, God knows. And this was the time of the Depression, and he couldn't get any work as a dress cutter, and all I can remember is him sitting around reading the want-ads and hardly ever finding anything, and my mother in the kitchen cooking and doing the laundry, and there was no talk of writing or drawing or anything really. I don't know. Oh, I do know that I read a hell of a lot, and I loved reading. And my mother encouraged me with, in fact, one Christmas my gift was a little stand, a little metal stand that I could keep on the kitchen table so that if I was reading a book while I was eating, the book would be standing up so I could read it instead of down like that. And I loved that gift. But that was, we had no any training or anything in art or writing. We just gravitated toward it, I guess. I don't know.
Good question. Yes, ma'am.
I had a question. Would you say you've had any funny or weird experiences meeting any fans?
Have you had any weird or funny experiences interacting with fans?
Every experience with a fan is weird. Fans are so terrific. People come over to me and they say, I just want to shake your hand, or I just want to thank you for something, and it makes me feel kind of funny, and I always say, I did it all for you, but you gotta say something. But I love fans. They're the nicest people in the world, and I can relate to them because I've been a fan. If I could have met Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote Sherlock Holmes, I would have been the happiest man in the world. Or the Baroness Scarlet Pimpernel. And if any of you haven't seen the old Scarlet Pimpernel with Leslie Howard, you ought to try to rent it from Netflix or whoever it is. No, I was a big fan of so many things. In fact, I remember when I was a kid, in the Journal American newspaper in New York, there was a writer named Floyd Gibbons. I don't remember what the hell he wrote, but I read his column every day. I was about 12, 13 years old. And to me, Floyd Gibbons was a hero, because he wrote about he had been a war correspondent, he wrote his adventures. Well, anyway, I wrote him a note. The first fan letter I had ever written. And about a month later, I got back a form letter, but it was from Floyd Gibbons' own secretary. And it said, printed, and it said, Mr. Gibbons, thanks you for your note. Signed so-and-so, Secretary Mr. Gibbons. I kept that in my pocket wherever I went. I carried that little note. So I know what it's like to be a fan. And I love fans, and I appreciate them, and I think that they're wonderful, and I always hope that I'm treating them well enough, because they deserve to be treated very well.
First, I'd like to say that you're always a pleasure to see and to be around, and I always jump on the chance to be able to at least maybe even get a question in. And my question for you is, what's it like having created so many characters and to see their current incarnations in like the current Marvel movies, to see them come to life on the big screen?
So see, my problem is, I heard everything you said, but I couldn't understand it. I've got the kind of hearing difficulty. I can hear the voices, I can't clarify them enough. But it sounded like an interesting question, and I'm now going to find out what it was.
I want to know if you wear boxers or... You want to know, out of all the iconic characters you created, how does it feel that you now get to see them in the big movies, on the big screen?
I'll show you why I'm such a good interviewee. Feels good. The first time when, what was the first movie? I think it was X-Men. Blade was the first big movie, but I hadn't created Blade. I don't think I did. I think after that came the X-Men. You have to be better behaved as nobody was here.
It's not my fault.
I was really impressed when I saw the X-Men. You can believe it. When I saw the X-Men on the screen, and I didn't think of, wow, that's the story I did or anything. I was just thinking, how wonderful from a comic book to a really big movie. And then along came Spider-Man and the others. Now I take them for granted. I mean, if a few months go by and there isn't a Marvel movie, I wonder what they've done wrong. In fact, it's a big problem at Marvel. There are so many things they want to do movies of. They have so many sequels to do, and they're still waiting to do the Doctor Strange and Ant-Man. I mean, there are so many. They don't have the time, there aren't enough months of the year. We'll have to have a movie every month or every week. The public deserves it.
Somebody kind of stole my question, but I'll rework it. When a movie's being created, of one of your comics, have you ever felt very nervous on how it will turn out? Or have you ever actually been more pleased with how it turned out? Thinking, liked it more than your original story?
So when you find out that the studio is going to create a movie based on one of your iconic characters, do you get nervous about it? Or are you wondering how they're going to portray it? Are you usually pleased, surprised, or disappointed?
Oh no, I don't get nervous at all. They do a wonderful job. Marvel hires the best directors they can get, the best cinematographers. They try to get the best actors. I mean, they may not do everything perfectly all the time, but these movies are so important to Marvel and to the other studios they work with that I don't worry about it at all. I just can't wait to see the movies. I have another problem with it too. I don't hear that well. My eyesight isn't that good. So when I go to the movie, half the time I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. So I buy the DVD for home and I put on, what do you call it, the words on the subtitles. But lately, I'm having trouble reading the subtitles. Pretty soon I'm going to need somebody to read the movies to me. But they are good.
I'll take that job.
And I don't worry about it at all. First of all, the characters, the people at Marvel now understand these characters as well or better than I ever did. And they care. They're not a company just, hey, let's do a movie, maybe we'll make some money. They care. They're all fans. So when they do the movie, it's like you people are doing it. They want to make sure that it's just as good as it can be. And I think you'll agree, most of the time they do a pretty good job of it. Wasn't exactly a dud. By the way, I just met the fellow who played Superman. I forget his name.
Randy Robin.
What a nice guy. And I didn't see the Superman movie, but boy, I'm going to run and see it. He looked great, you know. He spoke well, he looked good. Is it a good movie?
No. It's okay. It's not a Marvel movie.
You can't be that way. And I hope DC does well too, even though they're not as good as we are.
Yes.
Hi Stan. I was just wondering over all the years of making stories, if there was any characters or ideas that got thrown on the shelf because of time or block or something that just never came down.
Meaning comic ideas?
Yeah, comic idea, a new superhero.
So did you have superheroes, comic ideas that got mothballed, that got put on the shelf?
No, not really. I worked for a publisher, and everything had to be okay by him. And he was very easy to please. He was kind of a lazy guy. He liked to go off and play golf. But all of the creative stuff to me, because he kept the business stuff. But anyway, anytime I had an idea for a character, I'd bring it to him. He'd either say okay or no. And if I did it, I can't think of any that didn't really work. We didn't have that many. I mean, we had a few that aren't movies yet, like Doctor Strange and S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, S.H.I.E.L.D. is now in the movies. We had Sergeant Fury, but he's now Colonel Fury, so he's there. And then we had, you know, the Fantastic Four, the Spider-Man, X-Men, Daredevil, the Hulk, and Doctor Strange. That's about all, isn't it? Oh, and Thor. I'm always forgetting some. But there wasn't anything else we did that didn't sell. I can't think of any superhero we did that didn't turn out good. Because I was the luckiest guy in the world. I worked with the greatest artists you could ever imagine. And they made everything I wrote look twice as good. Kirby couldn't do anything wrong if he stood on his head. And John Romita and Steve Ditko, we were so lucky, and John Buscema and Gene Colan. I mean, we were so lucky to have the artists we had. I mean, I could write anything, and they would make it look like great writing by the way they drew it. So I just, I'm very grateful to them. But to answer the question, no, everything we did. Now that I think of it, it never occurred to me, but every title that we did as a superhero title really did well. That's kind of good. That's great.
Hello, my name is Arthur from Tokyo, Japan. So I flew all the way out here to meet you, so nice to meet you.
All the way from Tokyo to meet me.
Yeah.
You could have written a letter. I'm very flattered and very pleased, and maybe I'll get a chance to see you when this is over. But that's very nice to hear.
Great. So my question is, before Spider-Man and X-Men Fantastic Four, you actually strongly considered quitting writing comic books. But your wife convinced you to just stick with it and just write comic books the way you want to. Do you ever wonder how your life would be different if you had not listened to your wife? Or if your wife had not convinced you to stay with writing comic books?
Do you believe it? I think I heard most of that. I mean, I heard it. I can understand it too. You speak very clearly. Is he over there? I never know where I'm Yeah, my wife, I was getting sick of doing the books I was doing before we did the superheroes. I was doing romance stories and Western and crime, everything you can imagine, little teenage books and animated things, but my publisher really was not a creative guy, and all he wanted to do was make money, and he didn't much care what we did. And every time I write a story, he'd say, now Stan, don't use too much dialogue, and don't worry about characterization and all that. Just get a lot of action, a lot of fight scenes. That's what people want. So I was doing that, and I was really getting sick of it. And I said to my wife, I'd like to quit and try to get a job where maybe we're aiming a little higher. And she said, as you, I think I heard you say, she said, well, look, before you quit, why don't you do one book the way you want to do it to get it out of your system? The worst that can happen, he'll fire you and you want to quit anyway. So I thought that was a good idea. And it made up for her not working all those years. So I did the Fantastic Four. And it sold well, and because of that, we added all the other superheroes and everything was fine. Now, had that been a question or just a statement?
He was asking, how do you think things might have turned out had you not followed your wife's good advice?
You know, that's a good question. I would probably have tried not to be a writer, because I don't know where I would have gone, because comic books were held in such low esteem by the public in those days. I couldn't go to any publisher and say, I'd like to write for you. I used to do comics. I get kicked out of there. That was no reference. So I probably would not have tried to write. I mean, I could have written a novel, but that would take months, so we needed money right away. So I took I was an office boy, I was an usher, I was all kinds of things. But I thought I'd like to try to be an actor. Because my idol was Errol Flynn, if any of you remember Errol Flynn. I wanted to be like Errol Flynn. In fact, I used to leave the theater after I'd see Robin Hood or one of his movies. And I was about 12 years old, and I'd have a little grin on my face the way I thought he grinned, and an imaginary sword in my side. And I'd be looking for a little girl who was being bothered by a bully so that I could go and defend her. That's how those movies affected me. So I don't think I would have been a writer at all. I had tried to be an actor. I wouldn't have gotten work, and I'd probably have starved to death. Because it's not easy to be an actor when you're 12 years old with no experience.
All right, we got time for one more question. Which side was I on? Over here. There we go.
Hello, Mr. Lee. My name is Sal from Joliet, Illinois. My son, JJ. One question to my son. He wanted to know, what was the question?
What was your favorite supervillain?
Favorite supervillain. That was his question.
JJ.
Just a simple question.
JJ wants to know, who is your favorite supervillain?
Dr. Doom.
Mr. Lee, I know because this is the last thing, I want to let you know that I've had everything you've done has had a big impact on my life. Now, I suffered a very big car accident. I got basically steel all over my back and lost the right leg. But the leg that I have, I made all marble, and I wanted to show it to you, if I may have your permission.
And after we're done with the panel, we'll be in his booth and you can show
Oh,
it.
yeah, I just wanted to show, it's very unique. I'm the only person in the world that has it. I don't mind, you know.
I understand. My answer stands. Thank you.
What are you getting me into now?
Well, thank you.
All right, hang on. The big boss just said it's okay. So come on up and show.
Signing a prosthetic leg.
Yeah, but when you want it. Hey, Mr. Lee, right, wherever you like, wherever you make. No, it's gotta be wherever you like it.
Show up.
And I'm using a silver. They call it silver, it's white. Yeah, of course. Jordan's marble, can't go wrong. Moment. Are you kidding? I told my son I'd fight back before time. I was